let's take it back to 2008. It's been a hot minute, so I'll jog your memory of what happened that year. Teen vampire romance drama Twilight hit theaters. Barack Obama won the US presidential election. The housing market crashed and burned into the ground. Oh, and if you're a grade 3 French immersion student at James Gilmore Elementary School, chances are you're coming to my 9th birthday. It was a detective-themed party with mystery and murder and panic. Ugh, doesn't work with the alliteration. Mystery, murder, and mayhem. Mystery, murder, mayhem. Mystery, murder, mayhem. There we go. Mystery, murder, and mayhem. So without further ado, welcome loyal listeners to episode 2 of Panicdotes, birthday bashed, the best worst birthday of all time. If you've listened to episode 1, you've met my parents before. Their names are Barry and Judy, or Mom and Dad if you're special. Parents, can you please introduce yourselves to the listeners?
I'm Judy. I'm Haley's mom.
And I am Barry. And I...
Let's do this again.
Let's start again.
Perfect. Great start. Thanks, Mom and Dad. As I was saying, one morning, probably a few weeks before I turned 9, I plopped myself down at the kitchen table and stated for all to hear. I stated for 4 people to hear that my 9th birthday party was going to be a detective mystery party, and that was the extent of my planning.
You came up with a detective and there was nothing. Like the time you wanted to do a pirate party, but there were no pirate paraphernalia and we had to make it ourselves. And the very next year, the world was inundated with pirates.
So how did we make the detective party happen?
So I did go online and there were detective story type party themes. And in one particular, there was little clues, all in poems.
Poems, which my mom wrote down on pieces of paper and hid around the house. One of you here, someone we all hold dear, is dead, murdered, a ghost. Beneath the end, she's toast. Great choice, Haley. Death and murder are always fun themes for a children's party. Here's another good one. 8 was great, but 9 may not be so fine unless you and your buddies can work and study to discover my fate before it's too late. What I'm gauging from these rhymes is that one of the party guests quote-unquote died, and we all had to figure out who it was before they died again? I'm not sure. Oh well, we'll chalk it up to willing suspension of disbelief. Aside from the clues and the murder, my dad made a cake shaped like a magnifying glass to complement the detective theme.
I made 12 cakes worth of cake. Must have taken me all day.
The magnifying glass cake had a round top half, which was attached to a rectangular cake acting as a handle.
Yeah, the handle was a little overly thick.
The cake is an important detail. File that away for later. After weeks of exhaustive preparation by my mom, my birthday was here. April 26th, 2008. According to my mom's birthday notes, because only Magrill birthdays are recorded in the form of carefully organized, meticulously compiled notes, the morning started with pancakes, which was then followed by a trip to the recycling depot, always fun, the library, and Build-A-Bear workshop. Finally, it was time for dinner. I won't say where we went because I don't want to get sued, but I can disclose that I ordered the spaghetti and meatballs. There was slight disagreement as to the exact anatomy of the dish.
Yes. One big meatball or a bunch of just little meatballs?
I think they were all large and there was more than one because you said I can't eat them all. Can you help me? And so we all took a little bite and Jeffrey on the other hand said, "Nuh-uh, I'm not going to have any of this meatball." And he
didn't like
he
meatballs.
pushed himself against the wall in refusal. And I don't think he ate anything except for ice cream.
Regardless of whether it was one large meatball or several small meatballs, the dish came to the table with a hot, delicious side of food poisoning. My compliments to the chef. And then the next morning was my party, April 27th, 2008. I didn't start to feel sick until later. So what was happening in the morning before the guests arrived? According to the birthday notes, my dad, my younger brother Jeffrey, and I were decorating the outside of the house to fit my detective theme.
We were making dead bodies.
Always a birthday favorite.
An outline of dead bodies on the driveway with chalk.
What did you do at Haley's birthday today? Well, we all pretended to be dead.
What my mom means is that we had outlined chalk bodies, like the kind you might see at a crime scene, on the driveway leading up to my house.
Haley got a little carried away with the chalk. We went from the pavement of the driveway to the stucco of my house.
Really?
I don't remember that happening
People
either.
were drawing on the house?
Yeah, Haley was.
Nice.
Haley didn't know when to quit.
Sorry, Mother. The world is my canvas. Police tape was then plastered across the garage, a frightening sight for a suburban street. Apparently someone drove by and asked my dad, "Is everything all right?" Pretty soon after we set up the ambiance, my guests began to arrive, and it was time for the games to begin.
They moved throughout the house. We were in the bedroom at some point and then back in the kitchen. And I know that there was a clue under the fridge. I had placed the clues throughout the house. I remember that was my job.
There was one in the plant.
But then the group was moving always together and then you weren't there. And then we went to go see where were you, and you were on the couch.
I was on the couch, very much regretting the spaghetti and meatballs.
So the girls from your class who you were friends with were mostly invited to the party, and there were a couple who were quite intuitive, like the twins,
And the tall one.
the tall one. I thought it was really neat that they were trying to solve the problem.
Soon it was time for the main event. The real reason people go to birthday parties. Cake. My mom brought out the cake all lit up with 10 candles because one always has to be for good luck. Don't worry, the irony isn't lost on me. And as is the tradition at birthday parties, all my friends began to sing happy birthday. Feel free to join in if you know the words.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Well, we had done this many, many times before where, right, 3 kids, lots of birthdays, they bring out the cake and sing happy birthday part is pretty easy to do, right? I was in charge of filming, and I guess I was given the video camera and the still camera to do at exactly the same time. So by the way, I should point out that I must have seen all of these events throughout your lives through a viewfinder and not really looking.
What happens next?
Well, you were to blow out the candles. And you attempted, but you didn't blow all the candles out. Usually what happens is you then try again, but you weren't interested in doing that. I didn't realize you were heaving.
Happy birthday, dear Haley. Happy birthday to you. That was really good.
We all know that feeling. The taste of acid starting to bubble up in our throats. Immediately, I panicked. But before I could even start to react,
Okay.
last night's spaghetti and meatballs splattered across my dining room floor like a poorly thought out Jackson Pollock painting.
I'll clean it up.
It wasn't a large amount of vomit, but it was projectile. And so it didn't just dribble out, it went shooting across the floor 5 or 6 feet from the table.
After my display, should we call it performance art? As you can probably imagine, my guests were a little put off, and unfortunately, no one wanted a slice of cake. Not even the overly thick handle.
In 120 birthday parties that we hosted at our house, only one of them had a custom-made cake that was vomited on,
It was not vomited on.
and no one got to eat.
Wow, you're so bitter about that.
I would just like to say to all fathers out there, if you're videotaping your daughter blowing out the candles and she's going to vomit on the cake, do not drop the candle.
My mom and older brother Jamie reported feeling sick later that night. Apparently, my dad felt sick the next morning on his flight to Thunder Bay. Jeffrey was the only one who was spared, but that probably had to do with the fact that he refused to eat anything the night before. Well, he had ice cream, but who can say no to ice cream? My friends remembered it many years afterwards. I'm not in contact with anybody who was at the birthday party anymore, but if you are listening and you were at my 9th birthday party, please reach out and tell me if you remember this happening.
Did they talk about it at school?
No, only if I brought it up.
Get
was
it?
Very traumatized. Haha. Thank you for listening to episode 2 of Panicdotes. If you like what you hear, you're in luck. There are more episodes coming. Hopefully, probably, and eventually. And if this is your first time here, welcome. Why not check out episode 1, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you find your podcast content. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment letting me know your most embarrassing birthday moment. A year's worth of spaghetti and meatballs to whoever can outdo me.